Hello, and thank you for joining us here today on Talking Pictures Podcast. If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if it's your not first time listening, welcome back to Talking Pictures. I'm your host, David, and join with me, as always, my co-host, Brian. Brian, how are you today?
As always, David. Never ever going to be anyone else.
No. Well, I hope not, anyway. I hope
not
you
the
don't
top.
No, that's all right. Phew. I thought for a second there this is you handing your notice.
We barely scratched the surface, David.
Brilliant. Excellent. So, we're here for not to talk about one movie in particular today, but instead, we thought maybe the people at home might be interested in some of our favourite films.
This is something you shouldn't ask people like us.
Yeah, no, it's difficult to pinpoint any one favourite film for, I think, anyone, first of all, but then secondly, people like us that maybe our main source of entertainment is watching films. Like, I don't know about you, but I try watch a film every single day just to kind of expand my knowledge and expand my enjoyment of watching things. So it's hard to pinpoint, and then also with the fact that we're both nearly 27, so it's years and years and years of watching films, so it's hard to pinpoint exactly, but still we're going to try today.
I've got a preference for myself. How many movies are there?
I think they make at least 10,000 a year, so
trillions.
Yeah, literally could not in any life lived watch everything. There's no way.
So with the excess sheer quantity of movies in existence, it's safe to say you can have 50 favourite movies.
Yeah.
That's a safe bet, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to... You can't narrow it down because there's so many different, like, well, is it my favourite film of all time? Is it my favourite film of the year? Is it the film I watched the most when I was a kid? Is it the film I'm most connected with? Is it the film that I cried at the most but still found to be enjoyable? Like, there's so many different qualifiers.
A movie you watched as a child might not be well received today, but it could still hold something in your heart or in your memory, and you're nostalgic. So if that's the right way to use it, I'm just going to use it. It's my podcast. I do what I want.
There's so many times, you watch a movie that you loved as a kid and you go, this isn't like that good of a movie, but goddamn do I love it.
Yes. Now, I'm not talking about the likes of Halle Berry's Catwoman.
No,
I'm not talking to that extent.
But something like Space Jam, which is one for me, where I watch it and I go, it's not that great, but god damn it, do I love it, and I give it a 5-star every time.
We're only allowed to talk about 3 today, David.
Okay, yeah.
3 each.
3 each.
Don't be trying to cheat the system and smuggle
No,
in,
but it's just an example.
Smuggle in a few.
Throw in one. Throw an example for yourself there.
Throw in an example for myself there.
Yeah. Just to even it out there. One that you love, but you know it's not good.
Catwoman.
Okay, so there you go. Okay, yeah.
I liked the idea, and I liked what was tried, and I like the reception afterwards. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, yeah.
I will willingly watch this movie at home in my own time.
Catwoman.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Well, maybe we'll have to get you checked into a hospital. But like that, it's one of your favorites.
Yeah,
and that's absolutely fine.
It's not one of my favorites, David. It's just.
It's
let me give you a counterpoint. I'm not a huge Back to the Future fan.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of it all. I like the first one. The second one was alright, and I don't particularly like the third one. And I said Back to the Future because if I said something else, I think it might be blasphemy.
Okay. Do I want to know?
I might let you know at the end of this episode.
Say it now and I'll bleep it out. Okay, well, okay. You're lucky that I bleeped that so that people at home can't hear that. But okay, just move on anyway. Tell us about some of your favourite films.
All right. So I tried to do a bit of a theme here, David.
Okay.
I'm only going to pick 3. Did I want to pick some movies we may have talked about in the past or not? Did I want to talk about movies that I want to savour to give spotlight discussions down the line? So I decided now I've got the 3 in front of me and there's a theme going on here. All of these movies, there's only 3. They're from the 80s.
Okay.
You think that's a good...
I love the 80s.
Oh man, 80s are class. It's a good length of time for someone like you and me to harken back. That is one of my favourite movies of all time. Because there's such a length of time that has passed. It's become a legacy. It's become a classic.
Yeah.
It's become well beloved.
Yeah, there's often times where you see something nowadays and you go, that was incredible, I really love that.
But there could be an element of recency bias.
Exactly, recency bias. Exactly the point I was going to make is that it's because you just saw it and it's brilliant. So you need to nearly give it a bit of time to breathe with it, marinate, live with it, and then maybe even see it a second time. That's how I feel sometimes, is I need to see this again. I need to make sure that it's not just a one time, oh my god, that was fantastic. If you want an example of that, Dune 2. We've only, at this point now, I've only seen it once. However, it could very well enter my favorite films of all time, but I needed this time now to let it breathe, and I'm going to see it again. And if I see it again and it is still on that level, then it will become one of my favorite films of all time. But I just don't want it to be affected by recency bias.
And there's another thing as well I just want to preference before I start talking about my 3 movies. They're for me, and I like them, and I think they're great, and they did something for me. And if there is something that may be objectively not well received, it doesn't mean I would want to change it to make it better.
For what it is, yeah.
Yeah. Not the best movie in the world will have a problem.
Yeah.
You know? What? Let me give you an example. The Godfather. Most beloved movie in the world. I watched it the first time. I thought it was slow.
Yeah, and that's
because I was too young to watch it. Now, I'm not saying I was a child, but I wasn't a cinephile to appreciate good cinema. But let me give you a real objective fact of what's wrong. The scene where Sonny punches the brother-in-law and throws a trash can on him, and it's just as fake as wrestling. You're going to give that a pass because they didn't get good choreography in that movie, but it's still one of the greatest movies ever. No, it can be considered one of the greatest movies ever, but
there's still problems.
With it.
Yeah.
So even though if my movies I'm about to pick might have problems, every movie has a problem. So I think what I've just said covers the both of us in our decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So just want to point that out there. Okay, David. I think I might just do this in order of they released. In 1985, we got The Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club. Okay, yeah, excellent.
Right,
okay.
Expecting that, were you?
No. I know your picks. Sometimes you pick movies and I go, all right, okay. Breakfast Club. It probably is one of those, yeah. Although I can see why you like it, but I'm sure you're going to elaborate a little bit for us now. So,
first of all, I do like single location based movies. I do like a diverse set of characters. These could not be more stereotypical than the school kids in the 80s. The weird one, the popular one, the jock, the smart one, the one who's going to go to jail when he's an adult, or juvie. Not a huge big cast beyond Emilio Estevez, Michael Sheen's son, Charlie Sheen's brother, and even the principal, Vernon Paul Gleason. He was a good character as well. Has a bit of an arc of his own that he doesn't need to be so hard on these kids, looking down at them, thinking them of as despicable as they are. And you know, it is an iconic movie. And you look at the poster, you just see these 5 individuals who would not hang out together during school. They get to know each other and insult each other. Some to the point where it's actually a sexual assault, maybe. It's a movie of the hour, and movies of their time. Like I said, mistakes. But
yeah, you're looking at it. That's
It's of the hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
while these things aren't acceptable back then,
it was not treated
in the same way that we look at it now. Yeah.
Yes. So having said that, seeing these 5 different categories stuck together, and we get to learn how their home lives are just not the way they're supposed to be. They're not riddled with loving parents or structured lives. The love isn't there. There's a sense of hierarchy, overbearing authority, and that affects who they are as people. And I don't know if maybe my favourite is the basket case, played by Ali Sheedy. Alison was her name. The one who's always wearing the black. I think she was my favourite because there's so much mystery around her. And I did like Bender, Judd Nelson. I don't know these actors, but I got the thing in front of me, so I'm reading it from them.
Yeah.
He was. I liked him because he's not afraid of a fight, but he's not a villain. Like, he's a bully, but he, there's that one sequence where he tries to distract the principal and gain his attention to let the others get back to class. Like, he did that himself, He's the one who brings the weed into the school, and they all smoke together and they all have that good time. And then there's that scene where the camera's tracking them in a semicircle, just following them and just letting actors act, young actors act. And when I watched this in June 2019. That's when I
That was only the first time you'd seen it, was it?
think so. Yeah.
Okay.
What did I say in my review? Fucking awesome. Another rare old age classic for me. I've never seen before. All 5 stereotypes were relatable. The whole movie was a new experience and leaves off wondering what's next. Wish the tension was like this for me. So I didn't watch this movie in preparation for this, but it's a simple, fun classic that is, well, let's just say you're not really gonna get a legacy sequel for this.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. It's a good one. You're happy with it. You're happy with it as it is. Yeah.
I would welcome a somewhat. No, actually, no. I was gonna say I could welcome a remake in the form of another movie or a TV show, but you know what? With the way children are these days, absolutely not.
No, leave it as it is.
No.
Yeah, untouched.
Untouched. So that's one of my favorite movies of all time. Did you watch The Breakfast Club?
I did, and it's one of those movies that I've only seen once. And I think similar, I didn't see it when you saw it there 2019. I seen it a few years before, but it wasn't until I had entered into film school that I watched it. But it's one that I have only seen once, but do intend to watch again. But I do enjoy it, yeah. And it's by John Hughes. And I'm a big John Hughes fan.
John Hughes, really good. Hey, you've done a few movies you like, David.
Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about them later. Who knows?
So, yeah, The Breakfast Club. And, of course, the classic ending.
Oh, Fist in the Air.
Yeah, Fist in the Air.
Don't you
forget about me. Yeah. And the way, this movie ends in a way where these kids will not acknowledge each other in school, but they'll know that it's one detention time they had together. Mm-hmm. But, a movie that tried to emulate the vibe was the 2 Jumanji movies with Dwayne Johnson and Jack Black and Chris Kevin Hart. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Kevin Hart and Karen Gillan.
I know what you mean. Yeah, that we're not going to be friends after this, but we'll acknowledge that we went through this together. Yeah,
except in the Jumanji movies, they were friends.
All right, okay.
After school.
Okay.
Type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, that's settled on that. Moving on.
What you got for your next one?
This movie was released in 1986, David.
Okay.
And we did briefly talk about this movie as one of my favourite sequels, better than the original.
Okay.
Aliens.
I knew you were going to pick Aliens, yeah.
Oh, what gave that away?
I just had to very quickly scan my brain of what did we talk about in that thing, and Aliens jumped out at me.
So you knew I was going to say that 2 seconds before I said it.
2 seconds before you said it, which is, in my head, it counts as I knew you were going to say that because I figured out right before you said it. So tell us about Aliens, even though we've talked about it before. Tell us about it.
Jimmy C comes in here to take the franchise in a new direction.
Mm-hmm. James
Cameron, baby. Yeah. Knows how to make his movies and make the dollar too. So he comes in and makes the Alien franchise, what was a horror science fiction, into an action science fiction. And on the way up here, I listened to the scene where the Marines are attacked by the aliens and Ripley is charging into the facility, charging through the walls with the big bulldozer vehicle to rescue them. Marines, we are leaving. Mm-hmm. When Hicks shouts that out, and the music is roaring as the 80s era will allow it. Mm-hmm. Just goosebumps.
Yeah.
And it's the sequence where Drake and Vasquez are they're taking their time to escape the attack because they're trying to kill off as many as they can with the big monstrosity of the machine guns that they have. Mm-hmm. Oh, it runs out of one gun. I'll just pick up this other one I have. That's a shotgun. Oh, I've got a flamethrower on me as well. Just do that. I think that might be my favourite scene. Or maybe it could be at the end where they charge through the ceilings and the vents. That's another great action sequence. But they're really fucking good. Even when I was a kid, I watched Alien and then Aliens. And I think I watched Alien 3. I knew number 2 was my favourite because there was more characters to latch on to. And
completely different vibe.
Well, it was the grossness was not there, unlike the first Alien. There wasn't there was more action to it.
Yeah.
I was more drawn to the action. And
which is fair enough. I can understand that because, like, even with the first one, Alien, the fact that is horror, that feels like it's a very strict 18s horror.
Oh yeah.
Whereas
this could
Aliens,
be a 15s.
15s, exactly. Yeah. There's just a different level to it.
Yeah. It's more welcoming for audiences to get into as well.
Yeah. You don't have had to have seen Alien to appreciate Aliens.
Yeah.
But I think it does appeal to a more general audience because it is action based as opposed to horror.
And it introduces a few cool things, like this time the robot is good. But you might trying to trick the audience to make them think is he,
it's
or is he not?
subverting the expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same. James Cameron did exactly the same with Terminator. He took that franchise which was horror, changed it to an action, and then subvert your expectations by having Arnold be the good guy.
Yeah.
So he did it here as well.
And
he did it here first, and then he did it in Terminator as well.
Except in the Terminator franchise, he did both of those movies.
Yeah. So he took the lessons from Aliens and brought it to Terminator. So we should have seen that coming, but we didn't.
Well, we were alive.
We weren't alive. We weren't, no. So we'll give ourselves the benefit there. That we weren't alive.
Isn't that crazy? You die once, but you can say, well, we weren't alive already, so... Just a thought that hit me right now. Anyway, but throughout the movie, like, you have the big setup, and then you have these great camaraderie of all these Marines, and then you have the big action set piece, and then you have the middle part of the movie where they're stranded, and then the facehugger scenes. Ooh.
No, that's...
That is the scene where you will furthermore deem them facehuggers
worse than the aliens.
Worse than the aliens.
Yeah.
And then you have the final showdown. Quite an extended showdown with everyone. And then they all escape, and then they escape the planet. And then one more showdown with Ripley trying to... Ah, man, you've seen it. Listeners who've seen it, they've seen it. If you haven't seen it, why are you listening to us? Watch it.
Yeah. No, watch Aliens, not it.
Well, yes, of course. Watch Aliens. It's one of my favourite movies of all time.
Justifiably so, yeah.
And just the fact that a scene can give you goosebumps that you just feel like you need to put on and just listen to. That can be reason enough for it to be one of your favourite movies. Well, everyone's parameters and choosing could be different, but, we'll see. Moving on.
Final pick
for me, baby. Released in 1989. Told you there was a vibe to it. The 80s setting. 1989. Any idea? Any guesses?
No, you haven't given me any hints, so...
Yeah.
It's hard to guess what you're thinking before I have any clues.
My favourite Indiana Jones movie. Okay. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Arguably, and I say arguably because I'm the only one, or maybe the two of us would be the only ones to argue it, the best Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, definitely the best, but it's also my favourite.
It's my favourite too, yeah.
Oh, how can it not be? Just think back. I'm thinking back when I first watched it. I'm trying to think what was my earliest memory. Can't really pinpoint, but I do remember seeing Indy's father, Henry Jones, open the umbrella and whoosh the seagulls to charge at the plane and crash. And Indiana Jones is like, what? I remember that. I remember watching that scene with my father, actually. Not that it was a nice bonding moment or anything. It was just...
You just remember.
It's just a scene. But then I think I remember it was on at one of my cousin's house. It was a bit of a get-together. It was just on, and I remember seeing that scene, and this tank scene was great, and then the whole final act with the Holy Grail, that was great. And the opening sequence where they introduced what should have been Abner Ravenwood, Marion's father. You know, you think he's Indy, but no, it's a different guy. It's Abner Ravenwood. To me, it's Abner Ravenwood and young Indy, played by River Phoenix, and then cut to him still trying to retrieve the artifact.
The same one, yeah.
Same one.
Years later.
Belongs in a museum, famously said. Yeah, that's great. Hey, David, what else is great is that this movie has the best supporting characters and sidekicks in Shala and what's his name? Marcus Brody. That scene where Indy and his father are captured by the Nazis.
Oh, I know the one you're...
And Indy's...
some of the best dialogue. The best cut ever.
This is arguably one of the... No, this is not even an argument. This is one of the best cuts in a movie in history.
Yeah.
Indy is telling the villains, the Nazis, that their associate, Marcus Brody, has the book with all the knowledge to find the Grail. He's got a head start. He speaks this amount of languages. He's got this amount of contacts all over the globe. Giving him the praise of the Lord that he is capable of anything.
If anything, he already has the Grail. And then immediately cuts to Marcus walking around a market. Hello, does anyone speak English here? And it's just hilarious. It's so funny.
It's a wide shot as well of him doing that, and then that's when he meets Sala, and then oh yes, of course, Ron. He's trying to tell Marcus Ron while he's trying to distract the villains, and then Brody's picking up on it. Sorry, did you say run? And then he hides Brody in the truck, Sala ready for a fight. That truck he hit him in with, takes him away, and he's captured. Hello, Indy. Hello, son. Hello, father of Indy. What did he say?
I don't remember the line.
When he's on horseback and he takes his hat off and to respect. Hello, Indy. Hello, Indy Senior. It's just fucking great.
It is great. There's so many aspects to it.
And at this time, the love interest is a villain. Diversifying it up. I'd like to hear someone's argument as to why this would not be their favorite Indiana Jones movie.
It's for me the perfect blend of the adventure being like historical, but also like magical. Do you know, like that spiritual element and the Grail that they're looking for, like the kind of the whole with the Ark of the Covenant. And that opening up, and that's all
supernatural.
Like, supernatural, that's the word I'm looking for. And then the Temple of Doom has the voodoo and stuff, whereas this is the spiritual element, and it does have a supernatural element with the guard.
Yeah, the Knight
the Knight Templar. He's there, and then the trials obviously leading up to him are a little bit like supernatural as well.
Yeah,
but
it's
the perfect blend of. It's only in that the Temple of the Grail does it become that supernatural thing, whereas everything leading up to it is very like historical.
It's grounded.
It's grounded.
It's real.
Yeah, exactly. It's only once we enter the temple do we enter that supernatural element, which I think is the perfect blend. That's what I needed for it.
I'd actually compare that to another franchise, Uncharted.
I've not played any of the games, so I can't speak for it.
What I'm trying to say is that Uncharted and Indiana Jones lend themselves to being good, grounded archaeological adventures with 10% of it being
supernatural
or suspicion of supernatural elements.
Yeah.
So like, even if you've witnessed it in your life, when you turn 80 years of age, you might say, I've seen some things that, you know, I may not believe in it, but I've seen some things. Because that's what Indy says in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So I have no other reason to say why this movie's my favourite.
I think you've articulated it there very well, and it's
the funniest. And that scene where Henry and Indiana are tied together and try to escape, and they're tied to the thing, and then the fire
on fire,
and the fireplace is moving, and
when he hits him over the head with the vase, and he's concerned about it's alright, it was a fake.
Yeah, you know, like not concerned that he just hit his son over the head.
Or I always think about when they're in the plane, and he turns in, and Henry Jones Sr. is shooting out the back, and he accidentally hits the plane they're in.
Yes.
And he turns and goes, "I'm sorry, son, we've been hit." And he's the one that did it, and he never reveals. So it's very funny, and the dynamic between the two is brilliant.
Oh yeah, because Henry Jones, like, he doesn't be impressed with anything Indiana does.
No.
It's always no matter what he does, Indiana Jones, he's not getting the approval and the attention that he secretly wants from his father. And he tells his father, we don't talk at all. They're like, no, fine, I'm here. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Sean Connery.
Great choice.
I don't care that he's Bond. This is my favourite performance of his.
I think so too, yeah.
This is my favourite. This is probably to me, it's the best. Mm-hmm. It's the best Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. If you feel like this is a franchise I've heard of and I just not bothered watching, fine. But watch this one. Mm-hmm. The third Indiana Jones, 1989, and The Last Crusade. That one.
Fair play. So, if you're done, I'll talk about some of my favourites now. Okay?
Oh yeah, Dave, I don't want to hold the spotlight.
Brilliant. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to go, probably just go 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to lead up to it or anything like that. I'm just going to go my favourite, my second favourite, my third.
Oh, so you have a bit of a ranking in this, do you?
Yeah, well, I think that, like we were saying there at the start, right, it's very difficult to pick your favourite.
Yes.
I think that my favourite is very cemented, and it would take a lot to replace it. But after my favourite, there's kind of nearly, I'd say, 10 that are very fluid and can move and change, and depending on how I'm feeling that day, it'll change to be one of these other ones.
Well, before you go, I'd just like to say that I don't have a favourite. Mm-hmm. I can have movies that I would prefer more than the other, but none that would be... That's the movie I take with me if I get stranded on an island.
Yeah. That's fair enough. I think it's hard for anyone to have that. Yeah,
so that's why I don't have a favourite, but I have favourites.
Yeah, that's fair. And like that, I do have that for my number one. But let's say if I were to pick 10 movies, those 9 after that first one,
dealer's
are fluid
choice
and change. And
if you got it in a deck of cards, you're like, yep, that works.
Yeah. You could put them in any order, and I would say, yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah. On any particular day. So
I'm curious now. Would you not want to pick the 2 that are fluid and then save the best for last?
Well, for the way that I was going to describe them, I think that the way that I work, the way that I'm going to talk about it is better suited.
Yeah, man. Okay, it's your podcast.
So yeah, fair enough. So my number one favorite movie of all time is, as you know, I think, well, anyone that's met me kind of knows that, because if they ask me, I'll say it. It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And the reason why it's my favorite is not only for the film itself, but the context I watched it in the first time. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing it the first time, and I was at home. Me and my dad, when I was a teenager, me and my dad would watch movies pretty much every week. Like, we would say, we'll watch a movie, and we have kind of a big enough room, so like multiple people. It's not like a sitting room, but it's a room dedicated for like just watching a movie or whatever.
Yeah,
and we were watching it, and I remember I was really, really enjoying it, and then it got to the parade scene.
Yeah.
And Ferris is up on the float, and Twist and Shout is playing, and I remember my auntie and my 2 aunties came in, and they had been out. I think they went to see someone play at Slane Castle, and they were staying in our house just because it was, closer to than getting a hotel or whatever. They just came.
Yeah.
And then they came in right as the parade was going, and they were just in such a good mood, and the movie, it was just the right vibe right at the, and it just became just a bit more of an experience as opposed to just the film itself.
Yeah.
And it became this big moment.
So did you start dancing?
Yeah, they were dancing, and we were all dancing, and I was just like, wow. And right then at that moment, and I remember it so well, and it's in my head, I was like, oh wow, I think I love film. Like, I think that I think I'm gonna like really, I think maybe this is something I'm interested in, and right at that moment was when I like, okay, now I'm gonna start like taking film seriously, and I'm gonna like watch films, because not only is this film great, and I love every aspect of it, and I could do a full episode on it, but just seeing the effect that it had on everyone else, and maybe it was like the fact that they were coming in, they had seen it before.
The timing was right.
The timing was right. Everything just hit right at that right moment. And so it just became like more than just a movie. It became an experience. And so for that, Ferris Bueller has always been cemented in my mind as a feel-good movie. Like, if I'm ever depressed or anything like that, I'll throw it on, or I'll just watch scenes from it or anything, because it makes me feel better.
How old were you when this
This
happened?
was like, I'd say I was maybe 13, 14.
Oh, right, okay.
Like, I was young enough, I suppose.
I thought it was maybe like when you were 11 or something like that. Or
No,
10.
I could ask my aunties and find out what concert they were at and when they stayed over. I could probably figure it out. But I'm not sure exactly. But like that, like there's like so many aspects to it that I just love, and it's the characters, the arcs that they go on, the coolness of Ferris. And the best way I can always describe it is everyone always wants to be Ferris. Everyone always compares themselves to Ferris, when realistically probably most people are Cameron. Do you know?
Yeah.
And everyone probably thinks they're Ferris or wants to be Ferris, but they're not.
Wants to be Ferris.
They want to be Ferris. And there are a few people in life that are Ferris, but they don't even know they're a Ferris. You know, you're probably a Cameron. The whole side story of the principal trying to find Ferris, I just find hilarious.
Oh yeah, that actor.
Yeah, well, irrelevant to the actor. We won't go too far into it, but it's just and realistically, right, if you watch the movie, Ferris doesn't do very many interesting things within his day off. Like, some of the things he does are quite boring, but it's just the whole package of it.
Him taking the day off is him. He doesn't sit down and watch TV or play video games. It feels like him taking the day off is him trying to prove a point of what he is capable of.
Yeah, it's very much he knows that I have to make this worth it. I don't get very many of these, so I need to make this worth it.
Well, yes, but it feels like he specifically took the day off school for that intention to do all these outrageous things.
Yeah, like you can make the argument that he doesn't even do it for himself. He does it for Cameron.
Yeah,
He needs to show Cameron.
He
a good
doesn't
time.
need to take the day off.
No.
I bet. Yeah, he's a school kid. I'm sure he's a school kid. I'm sure he doesn't. Him defying the rules by not going to school. It's probably not even really in him to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, that's the thing, is that's why it's such a big deal within the context of the movie. Like, you know, everyone at school is talking about him, and the other side story of the Save Ferris movement, that this one rumor goes around the school, like the fact that everyone is talking about Ferris, and even the secretary, you know, she describes Ferris and that he's the most popular kid in school because he gets on with everyone. Like, he talks to the nerds, the jocks, the geeks, everyone. Like, he's not a stereotypical, oh, that's the popular kid.
Yeah.
He's just genuinely a nice guy and a cool guy and popular amongst the people. So
It's funny if you don't actually see him interact with other kids in school.
no, not at all. He's only just word of mouth. He talks to them on the phone.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, plays up his illness a bit. And then that spreads because everyone's talking about Ferris, you know?
I was rooting for the sister.
And then
Shauna.
Shauna, not her actual name, but she has her own story then of she's the kid she's obviously Ferris's sister, but it's like he gets away with everything, and hates him and wants him caught and everything.
Candace from Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. That's a great way to describe her. And then she has her own little arc of accepting Ferris. And why were you rooting for her? You just didn't like Ferris getting away with it all, or
it just. As far as supporting characters go, I just liked her. I just liked her.
Yeah.
I just liked her. Ferris Bueller doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I know it's not one of your favorites, but and I can understand why.
It's
not, but
it just didn't click with me.
Mm-hmm. I'm just surprised that you don't like it for the fact that one of your favorites is Breakfast Club.
I know.
It's just strange.
I'm sure it is.
I just would have thought that by association, that if you like Breakfast Club, you would also like Ferris Bueller.
Well, Ferris Bueller is not.
It's not the same at all.
No, the setting is different. The cast of characters are different. Mm-hmm. The vibe, well, maybe not the vibe, but the Yeah, I don't. It just doesn't do it for me.
And have you seen it more than once?
Yeah, I think I've seen it twice.
Okay. I would say give it another chance for me, but I know
that's coming from a biased perspective.
I know. Listen, I know, but
the fact that I want Shauna. I like Shauna. I like the sister. I like her more.
Jeannie.
Jeannie.
Yeah,
Shauna.
she wants to go by Shauna.
And she's the scene with Charlie
Sheen, yeah. But yeah, that's my favorite film of all time. And then, so if we talk about some of my other Fluid movies, and these are difficult because I had to nail it down if we're going to talk about it. Hopefully, we do another episode in the future.
Hey, David, this is our podcast. We can do what we want.
So then I suppose the way that you described yours, in that you had them in like a theme, I suppose I'll do a theme then as well. So.
Oh man, don't be swapping and changing and chopping.
No, I'm just using yours as an example. So the theme. So if Ferris Bueller was the film that made me become interested in film, then this next film is the film that made me want to make film. It was the film that really kind of, I watched it and I went, oh, I want to make something like this. I want to have my version of this. I want to do this thing.
I'm sure someday you will.
And I hope someday I do also, because I went to film school and I have not done anything since.
You did that one with the piano.
I did that one with the piano, yes, and I have a podcast now, so that's my media output. But yeah, the film that made me want to make films is Whiplash. So when I saw Whiplash, it was like when it first came out, 2014, and I was like, wow, this is just so tense. It's just so well acted. It's so, I just wasn't expecting it. I don't know if I'd watched a trailer or anything like that. I just put it on and it was just immensely I was like, wow. And finding out that it was Damien Chazelle's first film, I was like, this is...
No way.
Yeah.
First
film.
Shit.
Yeah. So...
You know, I suppose in the grand scheme of things, it is a simply made movie.
Yes.
But I say the difficulty is getting your actors to play instruments and editing it together.
Yeah, and like you said there with the, every film has its flaws. Whiplash, I know, has its flaws. Same with Ferris Bueller, I know it has its flaws.
What flaws does Whiplash have? Because I acknowledge the great that it is. If anything, I think the movie just this isn't even a flaw. This is just something, I think I could see myself going on my phone while the movie plays. Is after the attack and he's removed and
it slows down a little bit.
It slows down maybe a little bit before he goes to the bar and you see
well, the flaws I would have, and it's the only two really, and one would be with the editing. Sometimes obviously the hitting of the drums doesn't match up just with the shots and stuff.
Really?
It's not something that really is noticed unless you are looking for it.
I don't
notice.
Doesn't sound come after movement? Think about the explosions in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, but those are from miles away. It's not when it's right beside you. That's I do agree that light. Yeah, obviously I agree. Light does move faster than sound, but not when it's at that level. Like when it's Oppenheimer bomb going off and it's a mile away, you see the explosion, then you hear the explosion. Yeah, but not when it's a drum set 2 feet away from you. So, and then the other negative then I would say about it is just the representation of female characters. Just first of all, the lack thereof, and when there are female characters, they don't have much to do. Specifically, his love interest.
Okay, but wouldn't you make the argument that this is just Miles Teller being a dickhead? A douchebag, because those people exist, because he's trying to prove himself to be good, and he doesn't conclude his arc by getting the girl back. He concludes by gaining the approval of his villainless teacher.
Yeah, but like I know, obviously, yeah, that's not the story that we're telling, but even still, the band in Schaefer, all male.
Really?
Yeah, all male band. And now I don't know if it is supposed to be an all male band, but there's no.
Well, I suppose you're right. Yeah, I suppose I didn't really. I didn't realize that. I do remember how he treated the girlfriend, and no, fuck him. She
yeah, he treats her badly, but then also as well as that, she
doesn't stick with him. She doesn't stay to support him for his dream and his goal.
Yeah. No, but yeah, because he doesn't deserve that. But even in the scenes prior, I just would have liked to see more of her. Now, obviously, I don't want to get stuck on talking about the negatives of this film,
because this movie's class.
It is. It's a great film, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's tense, it's thrilling, but it's not a thriller or anything like that.
No,
it's great drama.
Oh, it's you believe this could happen to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And J.K. Simmons' performance, like I think he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
He won it.
He won it. well deserved. I don't think that anyone could argue that he
What's the best insult he gave?
I don't know, because he just talks about. I don't know. Do you have one off the top of your head?
I think I have two. I think it's the one where he's insulting Miles Teller because he's crying, and then, Jesus fucking Christ, what did he? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But then there's another one where he's getting these three boys to hopscotch the drumming. And then he you're changing the height level. You're adjusting the seat, so now you can play good.
Yeah.
It was the seat adjustment height that.
It's the psychological torture of J.K. Simmons to not only Miles Teller's character, but any of the other characters. And he's so good at it, so proficient at it. It's like he has been doing this for years. And there's no arguing with him because he's just so quick. And
you can't win an argument with him.
No. And it's expertly played by J.K. Simmons. And he is... I would put him up there with one of the best villains in a film. And he wouldn't normally be in those lists.
You just wouldn't think that is J. Jonah Jameson.
No.
Even though you can argue the comparisons, you just know, you have to remind yourself, this is J. Jonah Jameson. You have to remind yourself because that's how good he is. Because you're not looking at that Spider-Man's boss.
No. It's very much...
In fact, when I think back to those Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, I'm seeing a somewhat younger J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And then my third film, it doesn't fit into the category, at least I don't think, but it's one that I just love. I think it's so heartwarming, and it's a film that I think that I could make something in the same vein of it. And I think that if I wanted to make a film, I would try and emulate it in some way. Maybe not emulate it, but that's what I'd go for, do you know? And that would be About Time.
I've not seen it.
Oh, Brian, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Am I?
Yeah, I think you
Am
are.
I?
It is. Yeah, of course you are.
All right.
So it's a film about a...
I know.
You know what? Well, we're doing a podcast. I'm telling other people about it. So it's a film about Donald Gleason, who finds out...
Donald Gleason,
when he finds out he's 18, he finds out the family secret. And the family secret is that the males in his family can travel back in time.
But it's not as if they can go back in time and kill Hitler.
No. It's very much a subdued, just you can go back within your own time. Just think back to a moment from your own time and you'll be transported there and you can relive it and you can change things or whatever. And it's very much him, and he's talking with his dad, and his dad played by Bill Nighy.
Yeah.
And he says, what did you do with it? And he was, well, for me, it was books. I would just go back and read books, and I just loved books, and that's how I used it, essentially. And, your great-grandfather, he used it for money, and he died a very lonely, sad man, and all this. So whatever you want to do with it, you do it yourself. But and he basically uses it to better his love life, but it's not in a sleazy way of sleeping with loads of girls or anything like that. He's trying to find love, and he just so happens to bump into Rachel McAdams, and he has the most fantastic night of his life with her, and he gets on well, and he's like, oh, this is the girl for me. And then he goes home and he finds out that, his friend had a really terrible night. So he goes back in time to try and fix the night for his friend, but by consequence then misses out on the night with Rachel McAdams. So he can't do both. He can't it's not like there's two of them. And then he has to kind of manufacture, okay, how do I get back with her? Because that's how much I love her. And it's very much a story of love, and time travel is an element of that.
So does the movie take place within a close quarter time period?
No. It's very much 18 to... And then he has, it probably, I'd say, 18 to early to mid 30s. It's a long period of his life, and he's going back and forth over little things.
See, when he goes back in time, can he go forward back to his present?
Yes.
But can he go to the future?
No.
Right. And he has to go into a dark area to do it. Yes.
Yeah. And it's just quite lovely. That's how I describe it, is that it's a feel-good movie, and it'll hit you in your heartstrings. There's a few like sad bits in it, and I really, the fact that you haven't seen it, Brian, I think you'll really, I don't know if you'll enjoy it.
But see, that's the thing, David. I knew you loved Whiplash, and that was never anything to push me or stop me from watching it. I came across it in the respectful time to watch it, and the rest is history. Ferris Bueller I watched before I met you, and my opinion still remains the same. Sean is better. About Time, I remember seeing the trailers be released. It wasn't for me, and I do recall you talking about it, and I know it's one of your favorites. I probably should have anticipated. I only didn't anticipate because I didn't think ahead of time. I wonder what movies David's going to think. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I honestly, the only reason I would sit down and watch this movie is just to see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've no desire to sit down and watch this for myself.
I understand. And probably, like, if you don't have the desire to watch it, then don't force yourself to watch it either. Like, I think, I don't know about you, like, how often are you really sitting down to watch, like, a rom-com or anything like that?
See, that's another thing as well. I'm quite content with the number of rom-coms in my life. I think if you ask me off the top of my head, my favourite is Ghost.
I've not seen Ghost, so
That's
I'll
okay.
trade you. I'll watch that if you watch it about time. But it's listen, I don't think, even if you don't come away saying I didn't love it or it's not my favorite, I don't think you can come away from the film not having enjoyed it. And I think that even if you don't ever watch it again, you would say, I'm glad I enjoyed that. Or sorry, I'm glad I watched that. I enjoyed it. And
look,
it's got a song in it that I genuinely will play, like, as my first dance for my wedding, because that's the effect that it had on me. Like, I love that song, I love that movie, and it, like, I do think it is worth your time. Not only just to you, but the people at home. If you haven't watched About Time, watch it.
I think I'll be quicker to watch Dom Toretto drive off a dam as an explosion occurs.
God, you're such a wind-up merchant. Thank you very much, folks, for listening to this episode of Talking Pictures, where we've discussed, obviously, our favourite films. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you are subscribed to us on all of the available platforms of choice. I don't care if you listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Make sure that you are subscribed on everything, absolutely everything.
Oh, please do, because we are appreciating the reaping of benefits that all these views, clicks, love hearts, and whatnot.
Everything. Stick a 5-star rating on there.
Stick a 6-star rating if you can.
If there's 10 stars to avail of, then
the highest.
Put
the
all
highest.
the highest,
whatever
whatever the
rating.
maximum amount is.
Yeah. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing that we don't deserve it?
Clearly nothing, because everyone's been giving us 5 stars.
Oh,
so, we are here every single Wednesday, so make sure that you are checking in every single Wednesday.
Waffle.
Make sure that you are checking out every single Wednesday, because we have new episodes every single week. I don't think we have done a single week where we haven't had an episode on a Wednesday, and I think that's pretty good going.
That's why we call it a Wednesday waffle.
It has to come out on a Wednesday. The benefits of obviously being subscribed to us is that we've released bonus episodes once per month as well. So make sure that you're checking out for stuff like that. We have
I think
recently
we've got a good few curious discussions coming out this year.
Yeah, it's worth having it's worth checking us out, because we are good.
Well, you need to like movies and TV to follow us.
If you are looking for a book podcast, this is not it. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry if you clicked on this and this titled favorite films and were expecting books, because it is not. So,
have you ever read any books that you would like to see adaptations of?
No, I can't read, Brian. That's why I do this in a visual. That's why I have to watch movies. I can't read.
I think I've read 2 books I'd like to see.
You read 2 books?
That I would like to see adapted, yeah.
Okay, adapted. Okay,
adapted,
sorry. I
yeah.
thought you were just bragging about having read 2 books.
No, I've read 3, David.
Okay, sorry, I didn't want. Listen, this was a Wednesday waffle. This is waffling now. Right?
Yeah.
Let these people go home. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you again next week.
Did it.